And welcome in to another episode of Off Script. I am your host, Zak Herbstreit, and it is Monday, February 16th, still in the off season of college football. Not too much to talk about regarding college football, kind of grasping at straws when it comes to topics. Regardless, we have a good show slated today, a lot of good topics. But before we get into it today, if you enjoy the video, do not forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel. It helps me out a lot, so I appreciate you guys. But let's get right into it here. Starting off, first topic. Let's talk a little Oklahoma football. Specifically, Oklahoma football I want to talk about here is when looking at this Oklahoma team last year, the main concern to me was this offense. And going into early in the season, week 1, week 2, especially week 2 versus Michigan, Oklahoma, you were thinking, wow, this team's, easily college football playoff team, potential national championship team, you jump to conclusions so fast early on in the season. Then Mateer goes down with the injury. The offense just doesn't look right. They also go into the second half of the season, which is completely riddled with high-caliber SEC teams. So, granted, they're probably not going to play as well. But still, what was the issue with the Oklahoma offense last year? And how do you fix the Oklahoma offense this year? Let's get into it here. And a reminder to those who wanted to forget or have forgot about last season, or just maybe to those that don't agree with me that Oklahoma's offense just wasn't high caliber or top tier last year, we're going to go over some stats real quick. And just a quick PSA for y'all, I'm usually not a stats guy in general. I generally like watching the teams and being like, you know what, they can play. Maybe they're not throwing up all this points and yards per game, but hey, they can play. But in this instance, and watching Oklahoma last year pretty, almost every single week I was watching them, you're like, all right, well, maybe the stats do kind of show what this offense was. But getting into it here, 79th ranked scoring offense, 26.2 points per game, 113th ranked rushing offense, and then 59th ranked passing offense. So a lot of not great statistics I just read off there, especially the 113th ranked rushing offense. The rushing offense was probably the main culprit of this offense, because if you cannot run the ball, you can't do anything else. It makes your team so one-dimensional. So, like we said, what went wrong there? First things first, you could argue the Mateer injury set Oklahoma back. They looked really, really good first couple of weeks. Like I said earlier, they looked really, really good. Mateer slinging the ball around, kind of not even thinking, just playing, throwing the ball downfield, receivers getting open, running the ball relatively well then. You could argue that. Second thing, you could argue the second half of their schedule was brutal, which it was. This is true. This is very true. I mean, they had to go at Alabama. They played Tennessee. They won at Tennessee. A couple of these games, they lost to Texas still. The second half of the season, that's just SEC play, though. You got to be ready for that. You got to be, that first half of the season kind of has to build up to you want to be playing your best ball in the second half of the season. So, my theory in general, thinking about this offense, the inability to run the ball makes teams predictable. It's pretty easy. 3 and outs, which happened majority of the times Oklahoma maintained the ball, 3 and outs, just kills momentum overall for the offense. How can you get something going if you run 3 plays continuously, and punt, and punt, and punt? It's just nothing's going to work there. And you can't really get anything to work there. So, and you don't want to have to rely on your defense either. It's not fair to them. It's just not a good way to play for an entire season. You can have a game or 2 or 3 that where the offense just hey, man, we just didn't have our fastball today. Hey, it just sometimes happens. But when watching this Oklahoma team over the entire season, or second half of the season, I should say, something was wrong. You just could see, dang, no push up front. The run game was not there. And then once the run game's not there, then it puts all the pressure on John Mateer, because he's got to either run it himself, and, God knows he can do that. He's made some incredible plays with his legs. And then he's got to throw the ball. And then once the defense realizes, hey, they're not running the ball, so they got to rely on the pass here, the receivers get covered pretty easily. And overall, the defense, it's not that much of a challenge for the defense at all. But here's what I'll say about this Oklahoma offense here, and I want you guys to bear with me. John Mateer is not the issue here. And I know a lot of fans out there on the message boards, on the YouTube comment sections are saying, like, hey, John Mateer is not our guy. And I read those comments, or at least see those comments. I'm like, okay, whoa. Let's pump the brakes. Like, y'all were spoiled with Baker and Kyler and even with Caleb Williams for a year. Like, let's come back to reality a little bit. Just, like, this kid's still really good. He's probably top 7 SEC quarterback. That's like not a crazy statement, I feel like. But still, like, he gets the job done, especially with his legs. Relatively good with his arm. Towards the end of the season last year, I mean, he kind of was missing receivers downfield, but nonetheless, he's still a good quarterback. He's the guy for y'all easily. And that's without question. The thing he needs is just a supporting cast around him. He needs an offensive line that's stellar, that just wins the line of scrimmage. You didn't have that at all last year. Early in the season, maybe a little bit, but I'm talking longevity throughout the entire season, offensive line that just makes holes for the running back, blocks, pass protection, need that, vital for Oklahoma. And as long as you guys get in field goal range, Tate Sindell's going to knock it through relatively easily. Throughout the season, he was pretty solid. I know that playoff game, he missed a couple, but still, great kicker, in my opinion. And he's going to, like, points add up. That's huge for y'all. But supporting cast, like I said, O-line push, and then running backs, receivers just need to take pressure off Mateer. Having the ability to have a great running back Blaylock's a good back, but I'm talking like most of these teams that are going deep in the playoff, Ohio State last year, Indiana this past year, they have 2 or 3 guys at that position that are like really, really good. So need depth at that position. And then as far as receivers go, I mean, it's Oklahoma. Y'all are always going to have some dudes out there, so I'm not too concerned about that, especially with the addition of Parker Livingstone from Texas. That's huge. That's a huge addition. But in spring, when I'm thinking about Oklahoma and when I see spring and I hear news coming out from them, what do I want to hear is I want to hear being able to run the ball. This Oklahoma team, they're going to be able to run the ball. If I hear that, I'm like, oh, whoa. Okay, hey, this Oklahoma team's going to be legit because not only can they run the ball, they have Mateer to get outside the pocket, scramble a little bit. Oh, he can also throw a little bit. It makes it a little more dangerous. I just need to see an improvement from this Oklahoma offense. But Oklahoma fans, let me know what you guys think. Like I said, do not forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video. And moving on here, I want to talk about Penn State football as well. I know they were relatively dormant in the 2025 season, but 2026 breeds hope, breeds life, breeds new expectations. So my question for Penn State here is what to expect. What do you expect from Penn State in 2026? My way too early prediction here, and I know I haven't really heard too much from the Penn State media, Penn State people in general, because, I mean, spring ball hasn't even happened yet. They're going through winter workouts right now, but I don't really know where I stand on this right now. The only way really to kind of delve into this, because you haven't really, I mean, it's a brand new personnels, brand new coaches, Matt Campbell, who's a phenomenal hire, in my opinion, especially for Big Ten. I feel like he fits that mold perfectly. But the best way to have any idea of how to really feel about this Penn State team is to look at Iowa State from 2025. And looking at Iowa State last year, 8-4 season, forfeited their bowl invite, so didn't even play in a bowl game. In my opinion, it was just a very mediocre season statistically. Just overall, like nothing too flashy. Overall, like it wasn't terrible. It also wasn't really great. Just kind of in the middle, that gray area in the middle where it's just like, all right, hey, it was an all right season. It was pretty good. But 2 ranked wins versus Iowa and Arizona. They got blown out by BYU, who was their other ranked opponent. But nothing flashy, too. So if I'm a Penn State fan, why am I excited about this? Especially you were just in the semis 2 years ago, and you were a play away from going to the national championship. Literally one play was what separated that game against Notre Dame. But like I said, why, as a Penn State fan, should I be excited? Well, here's my take on this. It's a completely different vibe there in Happy Valley right now. James Franklin era is completely gone. In my opinion, I feel like this should spark some hope. Should spark some like, hey, this is exciting. Like something new's coming. Something new's here. Like this past decade of, hey, we're really good this year. We're really good this year. Oh, anguish, loss. Like, we just cannot win the big one. That's gone. That's out the table. Now it's like, hey, okay, like, what do we even like expect right now? Matt Campbell in general, you have a coach that prioritizes defense, really good defense, and an offense that's going to be extremely tight end heavy, which as a former tight end, you love to see. And if you watched a little bit of Iowa State last year, like they are like 13, 14 personnel, like 12, 13 realistically, 14 personnel goal line. That's when it gets really exciting. That's when you're like, I didn't even know we had this many tight ends on the roster. It's exciting. It's exciting. And he runs one of those offenses too that's monotonous. Like it's a boring offense. Like you're not going to be throwing up a crazy amount of points per game, but you're just going to be like annoying. You're going to be like first, second, third down, first down, first, second, third, first down. Like it's just going to be driving down the field. And the big thing about this is you're going to win the line of scrimmage too. Matt Campbell's notoriously known for having those guys up front, offensive line, defensive line, that win. They're just physical. So that's huge. If I'm a Penn State fan, I'm looking forward to that. And it's just a team that's going to be experienced because almost, if you look at every single position group on the roster right now, majority of them are coming from Iowa State. So experienced team, disciplined team, very lack of penalties, very Big Ten-esque. You're going to want that. And then, like I said, physicality, winning line of scrimmage. You're going to want that. You're going to want that, especially against Big Ten play, especially against the schedule that's coming up for y'all. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if y'all actually get 10 wins this year. But what do I expect from Penn State this year? I think there might be a little bit of a learning curve initially, just kind of being like, okay, Matt Campbell's kind of new to it, new to the Big Ten. Hey, that was a close game. But once he kind of gets over the hump, so I'm saying probably around week 5 or 6, then you're going to start rolling. And then like I said, the schedule's really not that bad compared to these past couple of years. I mean, you dodge Ohio State, dodge Oregon, you really hard games. I mean, you play USC at home, at Michigan, and at Washington. Those are really the hard 3 games you got to play. And I'm thinking, you win one of those hard 3, that's probably 10 wins. You're looking at playoff potentially. But Penn State fans, let me know what you guys think. I think this is a really, really interesting year for y'all. Start as something new. But, let me know what you guys think. And the last segment here should be a fun one. A couple weeks ago, I went online to the On3 website, forums, and fan pages, basically, and asked y'all for hot takes, thoughts on the upcoming season, just, the whole 9 yards. And you all delivered. First off, I started with the Oregon fan base, and now today I'll be talking about the Georgia fan base. So, Georgia fans, I appreciate you guys. Y'all are an amazing fan base, but let's go into it here. Starting off with Obi-Wan. I appreciate the Star Wars reference, but he said, with a lot of fan bases, quarterback is always a hot button. As a neutral observer, what are your thoughts on Gunnar Stockton and, more importantly, his ability to be better next year than he was this year? Next year meaning this 2026 season. So, I made a lot of Georgia videos last year basically singing praises about how good Gunnar Stockton was and how his ability to command the offense, how he was a gritty, player, all that. I think that carries over to this year easily. I'm one of these people right now, and this might be a hot take, but I think Gunnar Stockton's probably a top 3 quarterback in the SEC, in my opinion. By no means is he like the draft guy where he's going to be like, hey, he's a really high draft pick, but he's just one of those college quarterbacks where if you watch him, you're like, this dude regularly makes mistakes, which is what you want out of a quarterback. He's gritty. He puts his shoulder down. He takes contact, and he wants to win. That's probably the biggest thing. Like as an offensive lineman, as a supporting cast around this quarterback, and you see what he does and the hits he takes and gets right back up, you're like, whoa, all right, this is our guy. Like, hey, I'll follow you anywhere. Seriously. Like, even like as a spectator myself, watching that Sugar Bowl and seeing him get hit after hit after hit, and he getting back up and still performing the way he's performing, I'm like, this dude is unbelievable. Holy. But improvement-wise, I went to 5 or 6 Georgia games last year. Thinking about improvement, like the only thing that kind of sparks my mind is just maybe running the offense a little bit more efficiently. You look at that Florida game, it was just kind of like, hey, just a little off. Georgia Tech, hey, the run game's just not there. So if he can just kind of run it a little bit more efficiently, like kind of not have those off games, because if you want to be these like top-tier programs like the Ohio States, the Indianas, the Alabama historically speaking, Georgia also historically speaking. Like, you can't have those off games. You can't, you have to be on every single week. You got to have your fastball every single week, which is incredibly hard to do. And Kirby Smart could probably tell you firsthand, it's hard to play your best ball every single week. But that's why the greats are great, So, in my opinion, I think Gunnar Stockton is that dude. I think he is physical. I think he throws a great deep ball. I think he knows the offense, commands the offense incredibly well. I just think I'd like to see him probably efficiently, continuously do that. Not just here and there, or in just big games against Ole Miss or, Alabama or something like that. But when you're playing these Florida, Georgia Techs, hey, let's still beat them by 35. Let's go. But I love the kid. I think he's a phenomenal player, and I think he's due for a big season here. But next question here, Lady Dog said, what's the answer for NIL discrepancies between schools? Basically Texas and the rest of us, and revolving transfer portal door. That's interesting. That's really interesting, because I think the answer for the most part is just the coaching gap, I feel like. You look at Indiana this last year, their NIL wasn't crazy, and they didn't even have a 5-star on their team. They still won the national championship. So I see where you're coming from there, where Texas is getting all these crazy good players and how they're paying all these good players, and players in general nowadays, which sucks, but it's true. They'll go where the money is. That's where they go. And talent will go where the money is. But just because they have talent doesn't mean they're going to produce on the field. It's just, I feel like that's generally the case. But I agree. I feel like there should be some sort of maybe regulation and be hey, you can only pay a player this amount of money. But then again, they're going to come out and say does Jeremiah Smith, is he the same amount caliber kind of player as, I don't know, who's Tate Sindel, the kicker from Oklahoma? Those guys are completely different caliber guys. He should probably not be getting paid the same as a kicker. But I don't know. I just, I said, I think coaching and culture and team camaraderie really comes down to that, kind of evens everything out. Because you can have a team of 5-stars, egotistical maniacs out there all wanting their money. They could win, 3-4 games just off talent. But when it comes to matchup games, head-to-head games, versus a team that's, hard-nosed, gritty, wants to win, gets hit multiple times, but get right back up, just like Gunnar Stockton, they're going to kind of fall on their face and be damn, I don't want to play these guys anymore. Hey, it's just, longevity-wise. But, yeah, I just think the answer for that would probably be camaraderie, coaching, teammates, creating a culture, a team culture. I mean, look at Texas Tech. Texas Tech did it pretty well. I mean, they paid everyone, but they also have a really, really strong team culture, and they made the playoff. I know they didn't score a point in the playoff, but still, had a really impressive season. But that was a really good question, really interesting question, really good video topic potentially later. So I appreciate you. But next question here, Lower East Side Dog said, which Big Ten team that's been middle of the road the past few years do you think might step forward in 2026? Michigan State, Washington, Nebraska, Wisconsin, Iowa. I talked about this a little bit already, but I was huge on Iowa last year just because I feel like they have the pieces right there. Coach Ferentz is track record is super successful. They're basically above 500 every single season. I know that's not great in college football, but 8-9 wins every single season. Go to a bowl game, usually beat an SEC team in a bowl game. So my heart wants to say Iowa, but I am going to say Iowa. I am going to say Iowa just because if they can just get a quarterback and some receivers, they are set. And they thought they had a guy with Gronowski. I already kind of brought this up because Oregon fans also asked me this question. And I was just if they had a little bit more than Gronowski, because Gronowski was there he was good for 2 or 3 weeks, and then he just kind of went right, plummeted down a little bit. And no shot to him. It just, his game was up and down, fluctuating. But they have the running back room. They have the depth of running back room. They usually always have a really good O-line. They can run the ball really, really well. And then their defense is usually always stellar. They held Oregon to, I think it was 16 points, 13, 16 points. It was, I know, granted, it was a monsoon that game, but still, That's against an Oregon team that's extremely talented. So the one team I think that kind of like breaks the seal first from being in that mid-tier is Iowa, just because of the coaching, of their track record, of they want to win. It's right where they're right there. They're right there. The door is cracked for them. Can they just kind of finally break through? The second team I'd probably say there, Michigan State, just because of the hire of Pat Fitzgerald and what he had going on at Northwestern a couple years ago before all the scandalous stuff took place. But Northwestern, like, they were legit, like, they made it to the Big Ten championship. They were playing Ohio State and they played them well. So as long as Pat Fitzgerald can kind of get his guys and get some guys from the portal, good recruiting class, like, it's going to take some time. I know you were talking about the 2026 season, but it's going to take some time. But I'd say Michigan State is probably a team to watch out for in the future, just future reference. I'd have maybe just like circle and be like, or just highlight them and be like, hey, like, they might have a decent year this year, maybe a decent year next year, and then like maybe a breakout season in 2028 or something like that. And you're like, where'd they even come from? This video. I told you now, this video is when they come from. But my main answer there would probably be Iowa. I just think they're right there. I think they're right there. They just need a quarterback and some receivers, and they'll break through. Because they usually always have tight ends, running backs, offensive line, like I said. But Iowa, man, right there. But next question here. Pasadena Dog said, at Zak Herbstreit, what's the best game day atmosphere you've been to, either as a player or as a fan? Maybe do a top 5. Love this question. Absolutely love this question. Okay, top 5 here. And this is like completely unprepared here, unprovoked. I'm just going right into it. I'd say 5 would probably have to be, I'm going to say probably Penn State's up there. Penn State's there. And then I'm going to go Athens. Then I'm going to go Notre Dame. Ohio State versus Notre Dame in 2023 was probably incredible. And then I got to go, Texas A&M was incredible too when they do their little sway. Unreal. That was actually crazy to watch. And we went in December for the playoff game, and it just looked like a painting. You looked around and you were just like, whoa, is this crazy? But yeah, they were probably 2, and then number 1, there's nothing like the shoe, man. Really, there really is nothing like the shoe. And that is probably bias, sure, but when you see everyone bouncing to the Seven Nation Army, and the amount of just memories I have in the shoe, and growing up going to games in the shoe, it's I'm starting to get emotional just think about it. But like, beating Michigan in the shoe, it's awesome. It's such a cool, and I know this is a Georgia video, and I know a lot of people don't like Ohio State, but ever given the opportunity to go to a game in the shoe or in Columbus, I highly recommend it. It's an incredible, incredible experience. But Athens, it's probably in my 4th spot. Dude, it is so crazy in Athens. Between the hedges, it's so cool. I seriously, and I'm not just saying that just because it's a Georgia video, but we went, like I said, 3 or 4 times last year. Y'all know how to throw, especially in a Georgia night game. Oh, nothing like it. Seriously, nothing like it. But next question here, final question. Nogdog321 said, how does it feel living in Peter's shadow in the Herbstreit family? It hurts. It hurts a lot. I'm kidding. I'm just so glad my dad is going out on the road and gets to kind of share Peter with all of y'all, because, I mean, he's obviously a bright light to us, and just such a, he's like a comfort. He's like, when they're talking about like comfort movies, comfort food, he's like, he's like a comfort animal to us. So like, you could have like a terrible, terrible day, come home and just see that face, and you're like, dang, dude, like, you can't help but smile, right? So I'm just so glad he's able to come out there on the road and for y'all to meet him. He's a great dog, so well-mannered, so, so happy all the time. His tongue's always out of his mouth. He's not real sometimes. He actually does. He looks like a stuffed animal, which is incredible. But he's the best, and it hurts. It hurts sometimes because they're like, oh yeah, how's people come up to me all the time. They're like, yeah, so you're Peter's brother? I'm like, yeah, that's me. I'm Peter's brother. But no, I'm just joking. He's the best, and I'm glad he's so widespread, and he's kind of like the mascot of college football right now. He's earned it, and I'm glad my dad's letting y'all also kind of enjoy him as well. It's been cool to see over the past couple of years. But Georgia fans in general, I appreciate you guys for watching. Like I said, do not forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video. My name is Zak Herbstreit. I'll see you guys soon.